Oh,
All
You
right,
guys
I
are
looks like
live.
we're live. Hi,
we're live.
everyone.
Hi.
Hey, do
Hey,
you like my
guys.
hair? Hey, not mine
It's so
anymore.
pretty. I love it. Totally love
So, yeah, we're here again, and we're super excited to have everyone here with us and talking with us about relationships, right, Nereyda?
Yes. So welcome
We're
back to
all about it.
the corner. Yes. And this time we're
Yeah.
doing it virtual. Virtual. Yes. A
Mhm.
little different, but still the same thing.
Yes.
Same feeling, same content, same everything else.
Yes. And me and Nereyda were talking about when we talk about relationships a lot, but the something actually that's been very prevalent in my life right now. Actually, I'm going through it a lot of life lessons right now, and I'm super proud of myself for acknowledging
Mhm.
when there's hard times. I mean, I'm human, right? We're all human,
Yeah.
and we get like life can get a little crazy, but I feel really fortunate that I'm able to take a step back and go, what am I learning right now? Like, what is the universe teaching me right now? What do
Reflect.
I have to
I
learn
know.
from this? Because there's definitely a life lesson.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest pitfalls, I guess, in my growing and learning in life has been a couple of things, but one of the biggest things is boundaries. And I was like, oh, boundaries. That's actually really huge in relationships. No
Yes.
matter what kind of a relationship you're in, it can be a relationship with yourself, it could be your parents or any family, a person, a significant other, your
Yes.
kids,
Yes.
relationships as a whole. Boundaries are huge. So, what do you think, Narita? Like,
Oh yeah, I totally
right?
agree. And
Mhm.
even before we start to set boundaries with other people, it feels like it starts with ourselves. And something that
Absolutely.
we literally just talked about, right? Like with Lucinda was how it starts energetically. How it
Yes,
starts energetically with us first. And I
absolutely.
would love to expand on that too. Like, oh, like what does that even mean for people who don't even know what boundaries are? Because I
Mhm.
remember going through this season of learning boundaries, and I remember I was in a session and my therapist was like, you can, like, I was talking about my dad, and she was like, oh, you can tell him not to talk to you that way. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's boundaries. What? Like, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, yes.
But it really
I
does
didn't
start,
either.
yeah, but it really does start energetically with you knowing that just it's one thing to know about it mentally and know that that's
Mm,
not what you want or that's not what you're no longer accepting. But it's one thing to know it like in your body, like in your senses, to
yeah.
know like, yeah, no. Like there's not even an explanation. It's just, yeah, no, no more.
Mhm. It's also taking care of yourself, like you said, taking care of yourself, your mind, your heart, your soul, because I'm a huge advocate for being good with you, or you can't take care of all of the people around you.
You
And if
can. Yeah.
you're allowing others to walk all over you and step all over you because I'm just a nice person, that's me, nice person
Oh
here.
yeah. Yeah.
Hence why I'm in the business of making people happy, right? With hair. I'm a hairdresser. So
Yeah.
I had to learn the hard way in the salon, creating boundaries, because if not, it ends up sucking my energy dry. I end up getting depleted, and then I'm burned out and I'm a doormat for people. They
Yeah.
see my niceness as a weakness, and it's not. I mean, I understand why they would think that, but then
Um,
taking advantage of you more, and then you just being too nice to say no.
yeah.
And you
Well,
just
it's like even to add to that too, it's like I've had clients and just when people share stories where sometimes the anxiety, the depression, sometimes their unhappy seasons come from not setting boundaries.
yes.
They feel like they can't set boundaries and now they're in this rut and they're just in it. And it's crazy how just one boundary with your partner, with yourself, with your family could really change a whole feeling inside you.
Yes,
So it's,
absolutely.
yeah, I
And
would love
it's
to hear, yeah, like I would love to hear what you're learning with it.
oh my gosh. Well, I starting with a very young age, I was the nice girl. I was too nice, which I'm still nice. I'm very nice actually. But I remember I was to that point where people would step all over me and I was too afraid to say no. I was just like it felt weird to me to say no or to be like, not really say no, but
Yeah.
just like, I'm unable to do that or whatever. Or just, cause I didn't want, I don't like it when people don't like me. I'm like, oh, I want everyone to like me, So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just say yes to, I'm like a yes girl. I say yes to everything. And then I just get walked on and I get taken advantage of. And it followed me my entire life. It was enabling
Yeah.
bad behavior because I'm too nice
Yeah.
and not setting boundaries and setting a wall, like some kind of a protection veil for myself to be like, you know what? I need to protect my space. My bubble needs to be protected from my mental sanity
Oh
because
yeah.
I have way too many people in my life. I've got my family, kids, everything, my clients. I've got so much going on, so many people that rely on me. And I'm noticing that I thought I was like, "Oh, I'm doing really good. I'm like doing good." Thinking that
It's like
enabling
the whole
people to
fine.
just
I'm
you,
fine.
and I don't do that anymore. I've learned to speak my voice, but the boundary thing, I don't think I've learned it yet, which is why I'm in a situation that I'm in right now with
Ooh.
boundaries. And so I was in the last week very just stressed to the max, crying like, because
Mhm.
it felt like such a foreign language to me to finally set my like no, and when to say no, but no means no, and going,
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore, and I'm not going to allow manipulation to get the
Mhm.
best of me because that's something that happens. And I feel
Yeah.
like people like, I guess like me, that have a hard time setting boundaries, that's what ends up happening to me is I feel like manipulation, I get caught up in it, right? And then you
Yeah.
caught up in it and then now my energy is being depleted because I'm falling into that rut of that manipulative behavior on the other party's part. And
Yeah.
then now I'm less than a person and I can't be for the people that need me because I'm mentally messed up. I'm
Like
like,
you're not present.
I'm not
Yeah.
present. It's a
Yeah.
mess.
But I
So
mean,
it's
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Go
even
ahead.
with what you're saying of pleasing others. Like I can relate to it so much with trying to please others all the time, where
Yeah.
it was like, okay, yes, I'm just gonna say yes to everything. And even if
Yes.
I didn't want to do it or just it didn't feel comfortable, like I would say yes to it. And so there's
Mhm.
like this term of like recovering people pleaser, where it's like, oh yeah, yeah, that's me, and I'm no longer that, or I'm working towards it. And
Yes.
it's like right now I'm still learning about the boundaries with family. Like family is a huge one because I was
Mhm.
always taught that with families you shouldn't have boundaries. Like they're your family, and especially like with different cultures, you go into this enmeshment culture where your parents start and they don't even end, and you don't even know where you start or end. Like that energy, that relationship,
You
right?
lose yourself
So
as your own individual.
yeah, well, even with some cultures, it's like you don't even know who you are because you're so enmeshed with your family.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's a hard one because there's also guilt. Like there's a lot of
Yes.
guilt with that one. And there's also, I don't want to say shame, but there might be a little speckles of shame, like, ooh, like am I a good daughter? Like am I a bad daughter?
Yeah.
You know?
We are all human beings. Like we're all people that deserve respect. Everybody deserves respect. And that's I definitely will I I feel like I have given myself less respect. Like I
Okay.
don't treat myself right. I don't go out and treat people bad. So why would I treat myself bad? By allowing boundaries to be broken, by
Yeah.
allowing myself to get depleted. Saying
Yeah.
I don't like myself. And I actually really do like myself. I've come to a place of wholeness. And so that's why I am able to take a step back and go, you know what? I'm learning a lesson right now. The universe is
Yeah.
saying to me, or say, yeah, the universe is speaking to me and saying, you're getting there, Sarah. You're doing good. but we're going to give you another test of
Always.
we're gonna
And
throw this
you're
at you and we're gonna see if you're getting it. And instead of me just because I don't want to have to keep repeating cycles of bad behaviors. Bad behaviors, not like I'm doing something bad, but it's just the behaviors that are putting me down, like enabling, not
yeah,
boundary setting. If I'm not gonna set it straight and actually get it, it's gonna keep happening to me in my life. And I don't want to have to keep having
yeah,
different lessons. So
yeah.
right at this time right now, I'm in it. I am in it.
Ooh,
And I am going to learn from it because I'm acknowledging of what's
yeah,
happening right now. So I'm telling the universe, okay, after I had my tears, I know this is a test. I know what's happening right now. And I'm acknowledging this life experience. And I'm going to grasp it and I'm going to just do what I know is the right thing to do. And the energetic, it's going to
yeah,
come around and I'm going to end up on top because I've learned and I've been able to finally just I'm not going to allow other those kind of energies of other people that have that tendency to break
yeah,
those boundaries. They're actually
yeah,
going to I'm going to stop that before
yeah,
it even gets to that point because now I'm well aware, right? Does
yeah,
that
yeah,
make sense? Yeah.
yeah. I wish I could explain it in deeper words because I've had experiences where energetically I know, and it's not even my brain thinking. And maybe that's the part where it's like energetic, but you just know it's like a core conviction that this is enough. Like it's a
Yes.
no. And somehow, like when you feel that in yourself, it already causes like ripple effects.
Mhm.
Where it's like even when you don't do anything, you could see it happening.
Yes.
You know, it's like even with friendships, like I remember just like specific people would come into my life and without even thinking about it, it would just be like a thing in my body, like, oh yeah, no, like this is enough. Right? Like that's the only way that I can maybe use words to add to the energy. And even
Mhm.
then I don't think I'm explaining it with word. I don't know, right? But that energetic space is yeah, it could cause like that ripple effect. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like being mindful
Well,
or just
yeah,
being aware of it.
the energy that you're allowing in, you're going to continuously let it in. It's going to keep happening because those people are going to those other people that see you as this nice person like oh I can cross
Yeah.
boundaries with her because she's nice, it's like no, not
No.
anymore. I might have been
Yeah.
before, but now I've acknowledged my issues and my faults of me
Yeah.
being that way and I'm not going to allow it, so those
Well, it's
energies.
like you could. Well, it's like you can be kind and still set
Yeah,
boundaries, right?
exactly.
Like growing up, like I remember having this kind of skewed perspective. Again, like I didn't know what boundaries were, but whatever that action was when I was younger, it's like, oh, if I do that, then I'm a bitch. Sorry, Lucinda. Like
Not
they
really
were
a
like,
bad
okay,
thing though.
but no,
You're
exactly. But
apologizing to the wrong person.
sorry, Manny. Just to emphasize that
Claim
sometimes,
yourself.
but it's like setting those, like saying no or saying I don't want to allow that or please don't talk to me that way. Growing
Yeah.
up was always like you're a B if you do that. And I remember
Right.
in college, like having people set boundaries in front of me, not to me, but just like I was in the circle and they would set boundaries with other people. And I remember having the same judgment, like, oh, like you're a B. Like, how could you say no to putting the sandwich in your backpack? You know, and the person would be like, I just don't want it in my backpack. Like, that's not my stuff to carry. And it would
Yeah.
be like a big thing for me. Like, I don't think I could say no to that. Like, why not? But
Yes.
now where I'm
It's
at
teaching
now, it's
people how
like,
to treat you.
say it again.
You're teaching people how to treat you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So now
Yes.
that I'm older, right, or wherever I'm at now, it's like, oh no, like I'm not being a bee. Like I just know what I want and what I don't want, and I don't want to be
And you're
apologetic
not hurting
for it.
anybody. I always say that too. Like, I
Yeah,
don't ever set out to go piss people off or be mean to people or conniving or like that's
yeah,
not in my DNA. So I know that if like what you said, I'm just going to use your example, like the sandwich in a backpack thing or whatever, like something simple. It's like
yeah,
if it makes someone mad that I'm like, no, it's, or for example, my kids,
yeah,
I tell them all the time, I'm like, they want to bring a bunch of whatever with us on our going somewhere. And I'm like, no, No,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have me carry it, and I'm not gonna do that. This if you wanna
Yeah.
bring it, you're gonna be carrying it. That's not being a bitch, that's setting the boundaries and teaching about
Yeah.
behaviors and whatever, and, not just like, "Okay," kind
Yeah,
of a
I do
thing.
with my niece the same thing. My niece
Yeah.
will carry, like, some stuff, and I'm like, "You're gonna carry it," and then she'll get tired. It's like, "No, like,
Well,
sorry, like,
shouldn't
you want
yeah,
me to take
shouldn't have
your
brought
backpack?"
it.
But it's like, I think in those moments, like, I'm not a mom or anything, but when I do that with my niece, it feels like I'm teaching her something for when she goes out to the world.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I
even at home, right? Like, my niece, I could tell that she was lacking those boundaries.
do.
And I
Mhm,
remember telling her, like, "Hey, you can say no to me in practice."
mhm.
So she would say no to me, and my parents would be on her, like, "You're supposed to say yes, like, she's your tia." And
No.
she'll be like, at first, her voice was shaking, like, "But tia said, I can say no to her." So then I'd come out and be like, "You're right, like, you can say no to me, like, it's okay." And now it's so interesting to see the transition because now when it's a no for her, it's like, "No, I don't want to do that."
Mhm.
Like, it's so awesome to see the transition of it being so to her core, like, it's okay to
Right.
say no. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're teaching them to set boundaries in a small way, so then they grow up and then they end up, because life is gonna happen to them in
Oh, yeah.
big ways, but then they're gonna start learning that they need to have that respect for themselves. So
Yeah.
I always imagine, um, what does boundaries look like? I like to use visualization with things, with words.
Mhm.
Like, what would that look like to you? What's a boundary? To me, a boundary is I always imagine a wall, but not a wall. Oh, thank you, Dawn. I love the pink too. It's
Hey,
just
Don. I love the pink.
the a wall, right? So,
Uh,
but not quite a wall. I would say like a veil, right? You gotta have or a house that has a fence. What is the fence? The fence is just, I mean, it could be something that's like pretty to look at, but really a fence is like a gate fence. It's a protection, it's a guard, it's some form, even though you can get in still, but
um,
it's some kind of a guard, a wall-ish thing that you need to do something to get in. You have to open it up, you have to, and then you walk through. It's not just this
yeah.
open layout that everyone can just come in. So I imagine a visionary, like imagine what is boundaries to me. Boundaries looks like a gate going into
Mm,
my house. My house is my heart, my
I
mind,
love that.
me. I'm the house.
Yeah.
So it's just a gate. It's not like I'm blocking people and I'm being like, get everyone, get out. Like you
Yeah.
can't be in my, like, and I'm all hardened and I don't talk to people.
Yeah,
And
because that's different.
no,
Yeah.
it's like you have to do something to get in. And that's something that people need to do is they need to be kind. They need to not take advantage of me. They might take advantage of my kindness. They need to, it's a give and take. It's a, but it's also up to me to decide if I want to put a lock on that gate or if I want to unlock the gate but still have a gate there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I see it. And it's not just with boundaries, it was other things. I go, what is this word? What would that look like to
Mhm.
me? And then a vision, like what does it look like, and then I go, what does it mean? So like
Yeah.
boundaries looks to me like a door or a gate. You have to do something to get in. People have to do something to get into me and get into
Yeah.
my, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a boundary to me, like what that seems. So it's kind of like putting it into perspective of, because not everybody will, they go boundaries, it doesn't mean say no to everybody and like, no, not at all. Like I'm that friend that if you need me to pick you up at 2 o'clock in the morning kind of a
Every
thing,
yes.
I'm there for you, but don't do it every
Yeah.
single night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's
I
boundaries.
always I always go back to, like, your body sensations. Kinda
Yeah.
like before we jump in into a yes, or before we just jump into whatever it is, it's like checking in with ourselves. Like, how do I feel about that?
Yeah. Oh,
Because I
intuition.
think a lot of us, like, just not a lot of us, most of us maybe just yes, 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 yes.
Mhm.
Or it feels uncomfortable the way people are talking to us or what's being presented to us. but we still don't say anything. So
Yeah.
it's like part of like I think the reflection and checking in with our bodies as well. Like, okay, because one of the things that I also learned is like, oh, I can say yes, but I'm not going to be fully present with a person. Like I want to say yes
Totally.
because I want to show that I'm there for them because for whatever reason, right? That my
Yeah.
story was. But then it's like I'm already going with resistance. Like I'm already going with this like feeling, and it's like at the end, am I going to resent this person or am I going to be annoyed that I went? So when I
Right.
started learning about boundaries, it's like, you know what? Like I'd rather say no and not go with resistance, not like be annoyed that I went or whatever pops up. And then it
Because
becomes more
what does that cause? Resentment. And that's a whole nother
exactly.
issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That was
Yes.
the cause of my divorces.
Yeah. Resentment.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's so true. It's so so true. I can see it now too. Like again, like it's like you're learning through it right
Yeah.
now, right? And like me too.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, what is this feeling? It's like, oh, it's resentment. And
Yes.
it's so funny because one time I read this thing and it was about my sister. And well, I read this post, right? And the post said something along the lines of like why like the resentment that you're feeling is actually you lacking boundaries.
Yeah.
But and then it went like further, right? But it popped up with my sister because I was like annoyed at her for a while and just like had a lot of stories with her for a while. And then when I read that, I was like, crap, like I am the common denominator. Like I'm the one, like it's my fault
Right.
because I'm not setting boundaries. Like it's not her. And I think we do that too with people or with friends, with family, strangers, where we want to point it to them every time, like, oh, this person should just know. Like, why isn't this person showing up? Like, why are they like whatever reason, right? But
Mhm.
it's like, no, actually, we have the power in that space to for us to say no or say yes or to do something about it
Yeah.
within ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's and it goes with everything. It goes with your family and relationships with your significant others, but ultimately the first relationship that you ever really have is with yourself.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
setting boundaries for yourself as well and having respect for yourself and say I value myself, I love myself enough and respect myself to create boundaries that aren't going to allow anything and anybody to chip away at my soul and cause me any kind of less than. I don't ever want to feel less than
Yeah.
myself. I want to always feel 100% because I should. I've earned
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? I've worked hard. We all
Yeah.
do. We all deserve to be our 100% self. So setting those boundaries even for ourselves, like just realizing that life is tough and we can help ourselves out a little bit more when we value ourselves and go, you know what, I deserve this. I'm good enough. I can, you're
Yeah.
giving yourself that positive energy and then you're able to give that energy out. You can't give if you don't have it for you. If you're depleting yourself, you have nothing to give to anybody else.
Yeah.
So,
It's like that's where also I think sometimes these stuff could happen where it's like you're feeling anxious or depressed. It's like you're giving from an empty cup.
mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 So
Can I
I
Any
don't
make a comment?
questions for anybody? Yeah. Like I'm wondering if we have any questions. I want to look
Yeah.
up.
Okay. So, after listening to you guys gave a great definition of boundaries. I love that to where like it's not really explainable, but it's something that you can create through intention as a construct. And that's a pretty strong energetic boundary. And what
yes.
I really, yeah, and I know you guys are looking for like the language, and I was laughing and I go, you're doing a great job. You're doing such a great job. You're doing such a great job. And I knew just throwing that little wrench in the little wrench in the sprockets was just not going to be a good one. So, but you guys have done really well. So, you know what I really like is that you're very self-reflective during this, and you're looking for the answers that you've actually used, like the solutions that
Mhm.
you've actually used and applied in your own lives, and that's what you're bringing forward to the table and sharing.
Yeah.
And you're being really authentic in how you do not wish to feel diminishment in your life toward yourself. And you're also expressing, this is something that I wanted to, like, maybe you're aware. I think you're aware already. Okay. I think that you guys understand that in this expression, as you come to yourselves in this very public, authentic, raw way, that you become more accepting of yourself in your situations, right?
Right.
And I can't tell you how beautiful it is to watch you guys become who you are. And I enjoy and adore you. So
Thank
what
you.
do
We
you
adore
I love
you too.
you.
so, thanks. So a little love fest. Thank you. And then what I was thinking is that, like, relationships across the board, romantic, exes, family, job, the person next to you in line at the supermarket, right?
Yeah.
In those relations, all those boundaries that you place for other people, if they're, well, because they all start in energy. So all those boundaries are also limitations. So revisiting your boundaries to see how they're working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because obviously the boundaries that we had in place before seem
Yeah.
to, they were good for a moment, and then you go back and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I need to restructure this a little bit more around me so that I'm more comfortable. I might be able to let go of that aspect, and then maybe I can come back to this one, and then I can shore it up here, and that will make me feel safer and less confined. And so
Right.
I think that you guys are really defining everything so eloquently, and I just kind of wanted to put it into like that whole ball thing, because I really appreciate what you guys spoke to today, because boundaries are so important without
Oh, yeah.
limitation, right?
Yes.
You're trying
Absolutely.
not to limit the individual, and you're trying not to limit yourself at the same time. So
Yeah.
rather than
It's,
rules, boundaries.
Right. Yes.
yeah.
And it's actually allowing you to just excel and grow more having boundaries.
Yeah. And I wanted to share with us too, because it's like sometimes when you're learning about boundaries or you're setting them, like, it could be scary. Like, it
Yes.
could be really scary. And one of the things that I remember a lot is like, if I set this boundary, am I going to lose this person? So it's like whoever's listening and is like totally new to this, it's like it's okay, because even in those moments, if what I realized was if that person's not going to respect my boundaries,
Then you don't
then
want them in your
maybe
life.
then maybe it's not going to work out. Like, maybe this is where our journey ends.
It's
You know?
inevitable
And
that you probably won't be in their life at some point because if they can't respect you. Yeah.
yeah, and even the other part that I also would think of is, well, how would I react if that person set a boundary with me? And it's like, okay, like I would reflect, right? Like, okay, I'd respect it. Like, yeah, maybe it might be like an ego hit, like, oh, ouch, like I do that. Okay, like I'm so sorry. But again, it's like, okay, if the person's not going to respect your boundary, because it's one thing for them to maybe get hit, like, ouch, like I do that, like I'm sorry, or oh, like that hurt a little bit. Like, let me think about it and I'll come back and we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, totally different, right? But if the
Right.
person is immediately like, F you, like, why are you doing that? This is not like you. Like, you're changing, like, all that narrative. It's like, maybe reflect about that friendship or that relationship and what it might bring. Like, is it beneficial or not?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Because you don't want that to manipulate you back into doing whatever they want you to do, because then you're just
Yeah.
not creating a boundary. So
Yeah. Well,
then you're back to
it
square
comes from
one
that.
of feeling bad.
Yeah. Well, it comes from that too, like having a relationship where it was very manipulative. Where it's
Yes.
like you said something and all of a sudden it's your fault. And it's like, wait, what? But you
Yes.
don't even realize it till like months later when you're officially out of it.
And then you feel like you
Just
were in
some,
the twilight zone the whole time and you're like, "What?
yeah. You
Where
come
what
out like,
world am
where
I in
was
right
I?
now? How does this make sense?"
Yeah. I remember after that relationship, I was like, what just happened to me? Like,
Straight
it
up
literally felt like I was in another
manipulation.
planet
Yes.
for like a year. Yeah.
And I've noticed too that I attract the people that know that they can, like they can suck me. Like they like, "Oh, she's an easy target because she's too nice," right? And
Yeah.
then I end up becoming wrapped up in this whole boundaryless
That's
boundaryless relationship or whatever it is. And now I'm a shell of myself and I don't even know who I am, you know? And it's like, how is that good for me? I'm a human being too. You know,
Yes.
I deserve
Yeah.
I deserve to have a say in things or to whatever it
Exactly.
may
Hear
be.
your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
my voice matters.
Yeah.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
boundaries are huge and they work with every kind of relationship and starting with
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yes.
when you respect yourself and know what your worth is, then, you know, then
Yeah.
eventually it all just trickles and you just be one big badass bitch.
I love it. Oh my God, I love this.
The bitch in a good way.
In a very good way.
In
Yeah.
a very good way. A good bitch.
Maybe it's always been a good thing.
Always been a good thing. And, you know, if you can't handle it, then, you know,
Oh
like that
man.
saying is, if you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. So, you know.
Oh man. Well,
So
whoever's watching, like if you're
That should be put on t-shirts.
right, I know. And
Cute little pink and green t-shirts, relationship
yeah,
corner
that they
t-shirt.
should.
If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Relationship corner 101.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's
Slap
awesome.
a TM on that one. Well, are you guys good for today? Did you
Yeah,
have a nice
I
Yeah.
time?
think so. I feel
I
like
think
Great.
we're
I
good.
yeah, like if anybody is watching like right now or if they watch afterwards, if you guys have any questions, feel
Hmm.
free to comment below.
Or
Yeah.
talk about your own experiences, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
we're here, it's open, and we've all been through it
Yeah,
and
we have.
or going through it and will be continuously going through life.
Oh
And
yeah.
life is what it is. And you know, there's always going to be those tests from the universe that I like to say. And
Yep.
it keeps me strong because I know that it's for my best interest. So I'm learning about myself by having these things happen. If life is just going so smoothly, then what fun is that, right? Like, then you don't really get to know yourself. I'm learning about myself, and I'm really lucky because I have a lot of people that love me, my husband, my kids, my family. I have a big,
Mhm.
huge support system, and, you know, so it's
Right.
helping me stay strong so I
Mhm.
don't fall back in the not having boundaries kind of a thing. It keeps me like going, you
Yeah.
know, like, you got this, Sarah. Don't fall back to your old ways, right?
Pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys,
Thank you,
Lucinda.
Lucinda.